At 2:03 in the morning, Daniel Carter woke to the sound he had been dreading for 6 months. One small phone. One hidden number. One frightened child whispering into the dark. "Grandpa," Mia said, barely breathing the word. "I'm scared." Daniel was out of bed before his feet understood the floor was cold. He had spent 32 years in Army logistics, which meant his body still knew the difference between worry and alarm. Worry made you sit up. Alarm made you move. "Where are you, sweetheart?" "In my room, I think. The lights won't work. The doors are locked. Mommy and Daddy are gone." Well, for 1 second, Daniel could not speak. His granddaughter was 8 years old. She was not supposed to have a phone at all. The old emergency handset had been his secret, hidden in the bottom of her school backpack after he noticed how often Monica took away every way Mia had to contact the outside world. Austin, Daniel's only son, had laughed it off. "Monica is strict," Austin had said. "Maya needs structure." But Daniel had seen the way Mia flinched before asking for juice. He had seen how her eyes moved toward Monica before answering simple questions. He had seen Leo, her 10-year-old brother, sit stiffly at the dinner table while his mother praised him for being easy and sighed whenever Mia reached for seconds. So Daniel bought a cheap phone, programmed one number into it, and gave Maya a sentence to remember. Emergencies are not secrets. For 6 months, the phone stayed silent. Daniel began to wonder if he had become the sort of grandfather who mistook discipline for danger because grief had made him suspicious. His wife Ruth had been gone 3 years. Austin had pulled away after the funeral. Monica had begun controlling visits, meals, holidays, and every story that reached him. Maybe Daniel had wanted a problem because it gave him a mission. Then Mia called. "Listen to me," he said, keeping his voice calm because panic travels fast through a phone. "Put on shoes if you can find them. Take your bear. Hide in the closet and stay on the line until I tell you. Do not open the door for anyone except me or a police officer. Mummy said police take bad kids away." The sentence hit him harder than a shout. "Mia, you are not bad. You did the right thing. I am coming now." He dressed in the dark, grabbed his truck keys, a flashlight, a first aid kit, and the small folder where he kept copies of the children's birth certificates, because Ruth had always believed preparation was a form of love. The drive to Austin's house should have taken 20 minutes. Daniel made it in 12. The neighborhood was asleep. Perfect lawns, porch lights, patriotic flags hanging still in the humid night. Austin's driveway was empty. Both cars were gone. Daniel parked 2 houses away and called 911 before stepping onto the property. The dispatcher stayed on the line while he circled the house. The front door was locked. The back door was locked, not from habit. From outside, with a sliding security bar Austin had installed after claiming there had been break-ins nearby. There had been no break-ins. Daniel had checked. Through the kitchen window, he saw only darkness. "Mia," he whispered into his phone, "I am outside. Are you still in the closet?" "Yes." "Good girl. I'm going to get you. It may be loud. Do not be afraid." The spare key was not under the flower pot where it used to be. Daniel found it taped inside the grill cabinet because Austin had always been clever in ways that helped him avoid responsibility. He unlocked the back door and stepped into a house that felt abandoned and watched at the same time. The air was stale. The power was off. His flashlight cut across a kitchen table with 4 chairs, 3 clean plates in the sink, and 1 plastic cup on the floor near the hallway. Then he heard the smallest sound. A stifled sob. He climbed the stairs and found Mia curled in the closet beneath a winter coat, clutching a worn stuffed bear against her chest. She wore pajama pants, 1 sock, and a jacket zipped to her chin. Beside her sat a plastic cup half full of water. Daniel knelt, but did not touch her until she leaned forward. Then she broke. She wrapped both arms around his neck and shook so hard he could feel her teeth chatter. "I tried to be good," she whispered. "I promise I tried." Daniel closed his eyes. In that moment, the betrayal was not an idea. It had weight. It had the smell of a dark closet and the sound of a child apologizing for needing rescue. Training kept Daniel from destroying the scene with his own grief. He wanted to carry Mia out immediately. He wanted to wrap her in blankets, drive until the house vanished behind them, and ask questions later. But the old part of him, the part that had inventoried supplies under fire and tracked missing pallets across war zones, new evidence had a short life. People rearranged rooms. Systems reset. Abusers explained. So he photographed everything before touching it. The breaker box had been switched off manually. A strip of tape crossed the main switch, as if someone wanted to know whether it had been moved. The water valve in the utility room was turned halfway closed. Two small cameras, one facing the kitchen and one facing the upstairs hallway, still held battery power. Their blue lights blinked in the dark. Mia had not been forgotten. She had been monitored. Daniel checked the tablet on her desk. It had not connected to Wi-Fi since the previous afternoon, but the last downloaded video showed a cheerful family packing suitcases. Austin's voice could be heard off camera, telling Leo to smile wider. The timestamp made Daniel's stomach harden. 31 hours. Mia had been alone for 31 hours. Downstairs, he found the note taped to the refrigerator. "Mia, we took Leo to baseball camp because he earned it. You will stay inside and think about your choices. Do not leave. Do not call anyone. Strangers take children who make trouble. There is cereal in the pantry. We will check the cameras." Mom Daniel stared at the handwriting until the letters blurred. Not an emergency. Not a misunderstanding. A sentence passed on an 8-year-old child. Then he tried to open the refrigerator. It would not move. A bicycle chain looped through the handles and locked tight. Maya stood at the edge of the kitchen, watching him with the guarded face of a child who had learned that adult anger could turn direction without warning. "Mommy said I steal," she whispered. "She said the good food is for Leo because baseball boys need strength." Daniel took bolt cutters from his truck. The chain snapped with a metallic crack that made Mia flinch. He opened the doors and found milk, fruit, deli meat, juice boxes, yogurt, and a white bakery cake with blue icing. On top, in curling letters, were the words "Bon Voyage." The food had never been scarce. It had been reserved. In the pantry, he found protein bars labeled LEO in black marker, and a plastic container with measured cereal portions. A handwritten schedule limited Mia to 1 bowl in the morning and 1 cup of water after dinner. A small camera above the refrigerator aimed directly at the lock. Daniel took pictures until his hands steadied. When the first patrol officer arrived, Daniel did not tell the story in emotional bursts. He gave times, locations, photos, and the note. A paramedic examined Mia at the kitchen table. Her lips were dry. Her pulse ran fast. She drank an entire bottle of water without pausing, then apologized for finishing it. That apology changed the officer's face. Child protection arrived before sunrise. The caseworker, a woman named Priya Singh, spoke softly to Mia and sharply to everyone else. She obtained an emergency placement order that allowed Mia to leave with Daniel, while investigators located Austin and Monica. "Where are the parents?" Priya asked. Daniel looked at the note again. "Baseball camp. 2 weeks. Leo earned it." Something about it felt staged, like a prop left where it was meant to be found. At Daniel's house, Mia ate toast in tiny bites and kept her hands in her lap between each one. He told her she could sleep in Ruth's old sewing room, which had become a guest room with yellow curtains and shelves of folded quilts. Mia asked whether she was allowed to close the door. "You are allowed to close it," Daniel said. "You are allowed to open it. You are allowed to call me if you need anything." She considered that like he had offered her a language, she did not speak. After she fell asleep, Daniel sat at his kitchen table and opened Monica's public social media page. He expected silence. Maybe a vague post, maybe a lie about family time. Instead, he found a countdown that had begun 87 days earlier. Blue water, cruise brochures, passport covers, matching outfits. A photograph of 3 suitcases by Austin's front door with the caption, "Perfect family of 3 finally escaping the drama." 3. There were 4 people in that house. Daniel saved every image, every caption, every timestamp. Then a cousin, who had heard something was wrong and suddenly wanted to be helpful, sent him screenshots from a private family group. Austin had written, "Mia is getting an independence lesson. No rescue missions, please." Relatives had answered with laughing emojis. Not one person asked how an 8-year-old was supposed to eat. Daniel sat there until the sun rose behind the kitchen curtains and the room filled with pale light. The mystery was over. The investigation had just begun. By 8 in the morning, Daniel had 3 calls running through 3 different parts of his life. Priya Singh was coordinating with child protection. His attorney, Mark Alvarez, was filing for temporary custody and preparing to preserve evidence from the cameras and phones. A cruise line security supervisor confirmed what Monica's posts had already shown. Austin, Monica, and Leo were not at baseball camp. They were on a luxury Caribbean cruise. The ship would reach Nassau the next day. Mark told Daniel not to be reckless. Priya told him not to take Mia out of state without documentation. Daniel listened to both because rage makes sloppy plans, and sloppy plans give dangerous people room to escape. By late afternoon, the emergency order allowed Daniel to travel with Mia for the limited purpose of assisting authorities. Bahamian Child Welfare agreed to have a liaison meet them. The cruise line agreed to cooperate. Daniel booked 2 tickets to Nassau. He asked Mia if she wanted to stay with a trusted neighbor instead. She looked at him with those wide, exhausted eyes and shook her head. "I want to know where Leo is," she said. So did Daniel. The flight was short, but it revealed more than Daniel expected. Mia sat by the window with Ruth's old quilt folded across her lap. When the flight attendant offered juice, Mia looked at Daniel first. "You may have juice," he said. "Does it cost extra?" "No. And even if it did, children are allowed to be thirsty." She nodded, but she held the cup with both hands and sipped like someone counting every swallow. Piece by piece, the rules came out. Leo got snacks after practice because he was building a future. Mia got snacks only if she had not been difficult. Leo's shoes were investments. Maya's shoes were expenses. If Mia cried, Monica said she was manipulating. If Mia stayed quiet, Monica said she was sulking. Austin rarely started the cruelty, but he enforced it with the wary tone of a man who wanted peace more than truth. "Daddy says Mom knows best," Mia said. Daniel turned toward the window so she would not see what crossed his face. The favoritism had not only hurt Maya, it had trapped Leo. Daniel began to understand that Leo's golden child status might be another kind of cage. A boy praised for not being his sister learns quickly that love has conditions. He learns that protecting himself means standing very still while someone else is harmed. When they reached Nassau, a child welfare liaison named Marcia Roll met them with 2 cruise security officers. Daniel handed over copies of the note, the photos, and the emergency order. No one wasted time pretending this was a family misunderstanding. The ship sat in port like a floating city. Music drifted from the upper decks. Tourists carried towels and shopping bags. Somewhere inside that polished machine, Austin and Monica were selling the image of a happy family, while the child they left behind slept with crackers in her pocket. Maya held Daniel's hand so tightly his knuckles ached. "You do not have to see them," he said. She swallowed. "I want them to see me." He understood. Not revenge. Proof. Proof that she had not stayed in the closet. Proof that the story had not ended where they left her. They found Austin and Monica in the buffet restaurant near a wall of windows. Austin wore a linen shirt Daniel had never seen before. Monica had her phone propped against a water glass and was adjusting Leo's collar for a video. Plates of lobster, fruit, pastries, and carved meat covered the table. Leo sat between them with headphones around his neck and a smile that looked trained. Daniel stopped behind a partition. Mia saw the table, the food, the cake slices, her mother's bright vacation dress. Her lower lip trembled. Is Daddy going to be mad? Daniel knelt. He is the one who should be ashamed. Then he stood, walked to the table, and placed the refrigerator note on Austin's dinner plate. Austin's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. For a heartbeat, nobody spoke. Monica recovered first. "Daniel, what on earth are you doing here?" Maya stepped out from behind him. The color left Austin's face. Monica's eyes flashed, not with relief, but calculation. She reached for her phone. A security officer gently took it from the table. "This conversation is being documented," the officer said. Austin pushed back his chair. "This is a family matter." Daniel looked at the food in front of him, then at the child beside him. "No," he said. "It stopped being a family matter when you locked a refrigerator and left your daughter alone in the dark." Excuses came fast after that. Austin claimed a neighbor was checking on Mia. Daniel called the neighbor on speaker. She answered from work and said Monica had told her the whole family was traveling. Monica claimed the power must have failed after they left. Daniel showed the photo of the tape breaker switch and the timestamp. Cruise security asked why the cameras were still active if the outage was accidental. Monica looked away. Austin said Mia was dramatic. Monica said Mia had food issues. The ship's physician, called by security, listened for less than a minute before saying, "Locking food and water away from a child is not treatment for any recognized condition." The tables around them went quiet. Phones lowered. The polished vacation noise thinned until all Daniel could hear was Mia breathing beside him. Then Monica tried the oldest trick in her house. She turned to Leo. She said, "Tell them your sister lies." Leo stared at his plate. He was 10 years old, thin-shouldered, sunburned across the nose, and suddenly carrying the weight of every adult in the room. Daniel saw the boy's fingers curl around the edge of the table. He saw Austin's warning look. He saw Mia go still. For a moment, Daniel thought Leo would do what he had been trained to do. Then the boy took off his headphones. "Mia doesn't lie," Leo said. Monica snapped, "Low." He flinched, but he kept going. "They made me record videos every day, so people would think we were together. Mom said Mia had a sitter. Then I saw the note before we left. I took a picture because I thought maybe someone should know." He lifted his tablet with shaking hands. The photo matched the paper on Austin's plate, right down to a small stain near the bottom, where Maya had spilled juice days earlier. Mia made a sound like the air had left her body. Leo began to cry. "I thought if I said something they would leave me too." No one moved. Daniel wanted to comfort him, but he let the evidence land first. Cruel parents survive by making every truth feel negotiable. This truth needed witnesses. The security supervisor asked Austin and Monica to accompany him. Austin refused until 2 more officers arrived. Monica began crying loudly, saying Daniel had always hated her and was turning the children against their mother. Mia whispered, "Is she gonna take me back?" Daniel put one arm around her shoulders. No. It was the strongest word he had ever said. By evening, Austin and Monica were confined under supervision while authorities coordinated the next steps. Leo was moved to Daniel's cabin with temporary approval. The children sat on opposite beds, each afraid to look at the other. Mia spoke first. "You knew?" Leo nodded, tears running down his face. "Not all of it. I knew they left you. I thought someone would come. I wanted to tell Grandpa, but Mom said if I ruined the trip, Dad would lose everything, and it would be my fault." Amaya looked at the floor. Daniel waited. Forgiveness demanded from children becomes another burden. He would not make Mia comfort the person who had watched her be hurt. But after a long time, she crossed the room and sat beside her brother. "I was scared," she said. "Me, too," Leo whispered. She leaned against him, and he covered his face with both hands. Daniel turned toward the cabin window and let them have the moment without an audience. He had boarded the ship to rescue one grandchild. Now he understood both children had been trapped, only in different rooms. That night, while they slept, Mark Alvarez called with the next shock. Ruth had created education accounts for both children before she died. Daniel had funded them every year. Austin was the custodian, which meant he could use the money only for documented school expenses. Instead, Mark had found invoices from a tutoring company that did not exist. Withdrawals routed through that company had moved almost $180,000 into a travel account. The cruise suite, private excursions, designer clothes, and casino credit had all been paid from money meant for the children's future. Then came the second file. Austin had forged Daniel's signature on a military credit union loan and listed Daniel's home as collateral. Daniel sat on the edge of the cabin bed while Mark spoke, and the ship's engines hummed beneath his feet. "There is more," Mark said. Monica had kept a spreadsheet tracking social media engagement. Leo's baseball posts attracted sponsors and family praise. Maya's posts, mostly medical appointments, school concerns, and ordinary needs, were labeled low value. One note beside Maya's name read, "Damages brand when needy." Daniel looked through the open cabin door at the children sleeping under cruise-line blankets. The abandonment was not a sudden act of bad judgment. It was accounting. At dawn, Daniel walked to the quietest deck he could find and called Mark back. The sea was smooth and blue, cruelly beautiful for a morning like that. Passengers jogged past him with earbuds in, coffee in hand, unaware that a grandfather was deciding whether to report his only son to federal investigators. Mark laid out the choices carefully. Daniel could cooperate quietly with family court, focus on custody, and let the financial investigation develop slowly. That might give Austin room to return money, plead confusion, or pressure relatives into softening the story. Or Daniel could authorize Mark to release everything immediately. The forged loan, the education account withdrawals, the false invoices, the camera evidence, the note, the medical findings, the social media posts, the spreadsheet. "Once I send it," Mark said, "you cannot make this a private family problem again." Daniel almost laughed. Nothing about this had been private since Mia whispered from a closet. Still, Austin was his son. Daniel remembered a 6-year-old boy saluting him in the driveway with a plastic helmet sliding over one eye. He remembered teaching Austin to ride a bike, running behind him with one hand on the seat until the boy shouted, "Let go, Dad." He remembered Ruth holding Austin's face after his first heartbreak and telling him tenderness was not weakness. Where had that boy gone? The answer Daniel did not want was simple. He had not vanished all at once. He had been rescued too many times from the consequences that might have taught him to become someone else. Daniel had paid Austin's overdrafts, covered rent, smoothed over lies, explained away failures because Ruth was sick, because Austin was stressed, because Monica was difficult, because family was family. Each rescue had seemed merciful in the moment. Together, they had built a man who believed consequences were something other people endured. Daniel closed his eyes. "Send it," he said. When the ship returned to Miami, investigators were waiting. Austin saw them first. He was walking down the gangway with the dazed arrogance of a man convinced paperwork could still be negotiated. Monica walked beside him, sunglasses on, chin lifted. Then an agent spoke his name, and the expression on Austin's face changed from irritation to fear. Leo grabbed Daniel's sleeve. Maya hid behind his coat. Daniel did not celebrate when his son was arrested. There was no triumph in watching handcuffs close around a child you had once carried to bed. There was only grief, and beneath it, a steadier truth. The children were safe. The legal process took months. Austin and Monica blamed each other first. Their messages made that impossible. Both had planned the trip. Both had discussed shutting off power. Austin had joked that Mia would learn not to be greedy. Monica had written that the cameras would keep her in line. When Maya's emergency phone connected to the home router, Austin received a notification and texted Monica, "Battery will die soon." That message ended any claim of ignorance. The charges included child neglect, abandonment, fraud, forgery, identity theft, and endangering a child. Austin pleaded guilty after Leo testified in a closed proceeding. Monica went to trial. She wore soft colors, cried at the right moments, and called her rules firm parenting. The prosecutor placed the Bon Voyage cake photo on one screen and Maya's medical report on another. The jury deliberated 3 hours. Family court moved more slowly. Daniel was granted temporary custody first, then permanent custody after the criminal convictions. The court ordered supervised contact, while termination was considered. Daniel agreed, because he wanted the children to see that rules applied even to him. Austin used his first supervised call to ask Daniel for help paying legal fees. Monica used hers to tell Maya the family had lost everything because she opened her mouth. The therapist ended the call. The violation was documented. More violations followed. When parental rights were terminated, Daniel sat in his truck outside the courthouse for 20 minutes before he could drive. He had won the case. It felt nothing like winning. That evening, he took Mia and Leo for pancakes because neither child knew what to do with the word permanent. Leo asked if permanent meant they could still be sent away if they made mistakes. Mia asked if she could keep food in her room. Daniel put down his fork. "Permanent means you are not guests," he said. "You live with me. You belong in the house. Mistakes do not cancel belonging." Mia stared at him. "Even big mistakes." Daniel looked at Leo when he answered. Especially then. 6 months later, Daniel sold his old house and moved the children to a quiet town in North Carolina. He chose a place with a small school, a big library, and a kitchen that filled with morning light. He let Mia and Leo pick their rooms. Leo chose the one facing the street because he liked to know who was coming. Maya chose the smallest one because, she said, it felt easy to keep track of. The refrigerator stayed unlocked. At first, Mia opened it 20 times a day. She did not always take anything. Sometimes she only stood there, staring at the shelves as if food might disappear if she trusted it too quickly. Her therapist suggested baskets in every room: crackers, fruit, granola bars, water bottles. "Let abundance become boring," she said. So Daniel did. He put a basket near the couch, one in the hallway, One beside Maya's bed, and one in Leo's room too, because healing one child by excluding the other would only rebuild the old house in a new shape. For weeks, Mia slept with crackers under her pillow. Daniel never scolded her. He never secretly removed them. He only changed the pillowcase when crumbs gathered and asked if she wanted peanut butter packets in the basket. One morning, he noticed the crackers were gone. Not eaten. Returned to the kitchen. He did not make a speech. He simply stood at the sink and cried quietly while the children watched cartoons in the next room. Leo struggled in a different way. He apologized too often for taking the last pancake, for laughing too loudly, for having gone on the cruise. Daniel told him the truth as gently as he could. "You were a child," he said. "You were responsible for telling the truth once you were safe enough to tell it. You did that. The rest belongs to the adults." Leo wanted punishment because guilt felt easier than uncertainty. Repair gave him something better. He shared food without making a show of it. He walked Mia to class until she asked him to stop. He went to therapy even when he hated it. Slowly, he learned that being loved did not require being the favorite. On Mia's 9th birthday, Leo baked the cake himself with Daniel supervising from a safe distance. It leaned badly to one side. The frosting was too thick. The candles slid toward the edge like they were trying to escape. Maya looked at it for a long time. Then she said, "It's perfect." Leo cried before anyone sang. Letters came from prison. Austin wrote first, complaining about his sentence, the unfairness of the plea, the cost of commissary, and Daniel's failure as a father. Near the end, he asked whether Daniel could send money to help him appeal. Daniel read every word. Then he copied the letter for the case file and placed the original in the fireplace. That small act mattered. He was not pretending Austin no longer existed. He was refusing to become useful to Austin's lies again. Monica sent one letter too. It was addressed to Mia. Daniel gave it to the therapist first. The therapist read it, folded it, and said Mia was not ready for that burden. Daniel locked it in the file cabinet with the note from the refrigerator, the court orders, and the documents Ruth had signed for the education accounts. Some truths had to be preserved. Not every truth had to be handed to a child before she had the strength to hold it. On quiet evenings, Daniel sometimes stood in the kitchen after the children went to bed and looked at Ruth's photograph on the mantel. He wondered what she would say about Austin. He believed she would mourn him. He believed she would love him. And he believed she would still choose the children. Love, Daniel learned, was not proven by how much harm you tolerated. Sometimes it was proven by whose door you locked, whose hand you held, and whose fear you refused to explain away. A year after the phone call, Mia woke from a nightmare and walked downstairs in her socks. Daniel was reading at the kitchen table. She did not ask permission to open the refrigerator. She opened it, took a juice box, closed it, and climbed into the chair beside him. "Bad dream?" he asked. She nodded. "Do you want to talk about it?" "Not yet." "All right." She leaned against his arm and drank her juice. After a while, she whispered, "I'm glad the phone worked." Daniel put his book down. "Me too." Upstairs, Leo slept with his baseball glove on the shelf instead of under his pillow. In the hallway, the snack basket sat half full and forgotten. On the refrigerator, held by bright magnets, were drawings, school calendars, spelling tests, and a photo from Maya's birthday, the leaning cake glowing under 9 small candles. Their future no longer depended on silence. Daniel had once believed family meant protecting his son from every consequence. Now he knew better. Family was the person who answered when a frightened child called from the dark, and then kept answering until the dark no longer owned her. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them. Thank you for being here. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.